And at that time, two boys appeared at the threshold of the Brahmin's house. So Mataji was doing her thing, taking care of the altar or the cooking or something, and then they heard a knock. She heard a knock. So she comes out, and then she sees these two beautiful, amazing, mesmerizing personalities, these two boys, right? And they were carrying bags, sacks of things, and many wood and so many things. Just that's true charity. You bring food stuff or items to be cooked. So she's surprised, and then she says, "What do you want?" And then they go like, "Oh, we are bringing this because your husband sends us." My husband? But my husband is a poor Brahmin. He doesn't have money for all these things. This must be a mistake. Like nowadays when sometimes they deliver something you bought online and then they put it in somebody's home and it's not that the right house is next door or something like that. So she says, no, there must be a mistake. This is not the house. So they go like, no, you better take it, because your husband is a very bad man. He's very, mean. What do you mean mean? He's a well-behaved Brahmin, and you must be confused. And then there was one that it was darkish, and the other one was whitish. The boys, their complexion. So the darkish one, he turned around and he had some marks, red marks in his back. He said, no. He beat us. He beat us, and he told us that if we don't bring this goods to his house, he will punish us further. So she was totally, perplexed. She thought, oh, what is this going on here? And so he says, in any case, after all the trouble that you took, why don't you come in and you can, because that's the Vedic etiquette, that if somebody comes, you will invite the person and feed them. Right? Imagine somebody knocks on your door by accident and you invite the person. And in India still you can, so many times, right? People befriends you in the train or in the street. They ask you, where are you from? And you say, I'm from, Australia, Mawulimba, or whatever, Ecuador, Uruguay. Oh, I never met someone from there. Please come. And they try to give you fruits or milk or tea or coffee, whatever. They offer you many things, but say, no, just... So very, very, very generous, very hospitable, So anyway, she said, please come in, and because of your hard work, let me at least, offer you seed or water, some nice words or some fruits or some sweets or something. I'll offer you something. So they come in, and she's trying her best to get something for them to be pleased. And at that time, there's another knock, tuk, tuk, tuk. So Brahmin Arjunacharya Prabhu is coming. And so she goes to greet him. And then she was actually upset. How can you have hit these boys and scold them so badly? They were so scared. So she's there and angry. And he says, what's going on? He sees her face. And he says, how is it possible that you're a Brahmin and you're someone who upholds Dharma, religion, and all the principles of Vaishnavism, and then you are abusing these two beautiful kids? And then he's like, what beautiful kids? I haven't done anything. What are you talking about? Yes, come. I sat them there and I'm pacifying them. You have even beaten up one of them and it's all marked at the back. I saw it with my own eyes. Okay, show me. He says, it must be a mistake. I haven't done anything. I just took my bath, I chanted my Gayatri, did my prayers, and I came back. So when they go to the area, the kitchen, or the place where she was entertaining the boys, they disappeared, right? And then she started describing the boys. And then she started saying one was darkish, kind of a bluish hue, and the other one was whitish, and they were just like shining. And she started describing, and she fell in ecstasy, because actually her descriptions was about Krishna and Balaram. And he himself started, his hairs is standing on end, and he was so moved by her description. He was, you're describing Krishna and Balaram. tell me, what did they say? And then she repeated the whole thing. And he says, but I saw the mark. He says, tell me about the mark. He says, like 2-3 lines on his back. And then he went, and then he went to his book. He thought, and then, because actually the statement is in the Shastra that this book is not different from Krishna. So when he took the leaves or pages of the Gita on which he was working, he saw that the lines were exactly as she was describing, 2-3 lines. You know, that sometimes you cross something, tuk, 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 and that. When he showed, they look like that, and then she's like, yes, it was one line on top of the other. So Prabhupada tells this story to emphasize the fact that Krishna is a person. Krishna is a person, and his descriptions, his words, shouldn't be doubted. Because Krishna loves the attitude, just like a normal father, normal friend, mother, whoever, that somebody does something for you, you feel grateful. Like that. So Krishna is a person. We all are persons. We all come from Krishna. So in the same way, Krishna manifests this personality. That's why it's called Supreme Personality of God. So Prabhupada offers this book to Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. And I just wanted to read something that I found yesterday, where Prabhupada is briefly, if anybody's interested, we can send it to you. Prabhupada starts describing the story. I don't want to read the whole story, but this is how Prabhupada explains. It's something that I never have found in decades. I never found this, but yesterday doing some research, I found this. It's very beautiful. I was just going to read part because it's quite long, but here Prabhupada explains basically why he offers the Bhagavad Gita to Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. I'm just going to read a part of it, and then maybe next week we can continue reading this. Prabhupada says, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let me offer my respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. First of all, let me offer my respectful obeisance to my spiritual master, Om Vishnupat Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Also called Prabhupada, yeah? Then my respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is associated with Sri Advaita Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas Prabhu, as well as whose eternal assistants are the 6 Goswamis. If you see in the Parampara, where are the 6 Goswamis? No? Oh, there. On the top of the, yeah, right, yeah, Gauranga, there, the 6 Goswamis, of which the head of the top Goswamis are these 2 personalities here, Rupa and Sanatan. They are the leaders of that, the 6 Goswamis. Headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Then you have Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Raghunath Goswami. As well as his private secretary, Sri Swarup Damodar. So he's paying obeisance to all these great eternal attendants of the Lord. Then let us talk about Brahma Sutra. Remember I said about Vedanta Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. There are many comments on the Vedanta Sutra. In India especially, the system is that anyone who is the head of a religious institution must be well conversed with the Vedanta Sutras and is expected to write comments on the Vedanta Sutra, without which one is not accepted as an Acharya or an exemplary master. Acharya means one who knows the purpose of the Vedic knowledge. He personally practices the Acharya, practices them, as well as teaches to his disciples the system of Vedic knowledge. There are many Acharyas, especially of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, like the 4 Sampradayas. There are 4 lines that present the process of Krishna Bhakti. Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhvacharya Sampradaya, these are the names of the Acharyas or the heads of those lineages. Vishnu Swami Sampradaya and Nimbarka Sampradaya. Our Sampradaya is called Gaudiya Sampradaya, or the Vaishnavas who are in the disciplic succession of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Gaudiya Sampradaya actually belongs to the Madhva Sampradaya. So these are the connections, as I said. And the Madhva Sampradaya belongs to the Brahma Sampradaya. So Gaudiya, Madhva, Brahma, like that. Besides these 4 Vaishnavacharya Sampradayas, there are also non-Vaishnava Sampradayas, especially the impersonalist school headed by Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya has written a commentary made by Sariraka Vasya, made by Shankaracharya. Vasya means commentary. It's very popular on account of the present Indians being influenced by materialistic activities. But still, the other different Vasyas or commentaries made by the Vaishnavacharyas are also available in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, specifically headed by Rupa Goswami. In the beginning, there was no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is again the conclusion of the Vedas. Because according to Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the real commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam himself. So these are the Vedas. The Vedas are summarized into Vedanta Sutras and they are expanded again into the Bhagavatam. That's how it goes. Therefore, there's no need for commentary. The first canto, first chapter, we have explained this fact that Srimad Bhagavatam is the right type of commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. As such, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayas did not take much care to present their commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Okay, so what happens is that, and Prabhupada will describe this later on, that at some point, around 200 years ago, a group of great scholars in India, in the area of Jaipur. Jaipur is a very famous Vaishnava sacred place. At that time, some of the scholars have concluded the Vaishnavas, Hare Krishna Bhaktas, were not authorized. This is not proper. You are speculating, you are making it up. And one of the reasons that they use is because there's no official commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is considered for all those who study the Vedas. Is essentially, if you don't have a commentary, then you're off. You're just mentally speculating, and you don't have philosophical or historical or literary background to say that you are authorized. This is just making up things. So because there wasn't, and they didn't accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the commentary, Baladev Vidyabhushan, actually he's a spiritual master, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, was called upon by the king of that region, Jai Singh. He told, you are the greatest Acharya and you are meant to defend the Hare Krishna devotees. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was old, very old at that time. And then he said, I'm going to empower my disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, he took the burden of writing this commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, or the conclusive truth of the Vedas. And once he did that, he proved that their accusations were false, and that the worship of Radha and Krishna, the process of Hare Krishna, is bona fide. It's according to the Vedas, according to the Puranas, according to the Upanishads, according to the essential books or texts that present the absolute truth in the Vedas. So I just wanted to mention this because sometimes we read these things, in the passing, and then who is Baladev Vidyabhushan? I don't know. So I found this. It's a few pages that Prabhupada presents about the importance of Baladev Vidyabhushan. And he established philosophically the supremacy of the Lord and the practice of bhakti as the most direct way to achieve Him, just like Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, that's the reason why he called the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's the only book, it's the only Bhagavad Gita that's called as it is. Right? I heard in a class from somebody who was giving a class saying that somebody has written the Bhagavad Gita as it was. Because Prabhupada is very heavy in this particular text, and how he comments very heavily against Mayavadis or Voidists, like that. So, one of the main things, or the first lessons that Krishna gives, Nika, can you get the microphone? And we can do this by reading the first lesson that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita, the very, very first lesson. that he instructs Arjuna is about the soul. It's called Atma Tattva. Turn it on. Just keep it there. Keep it there. Then, because some of you are going to read. So he tells them that don't worry about all this suffering you're lamenting. Huh? The first part of the Gita, especially at the end of chapter 1, is that Arjuna is lamenting. Shoka is the word in Sanskrit. So he's lamenting. Sometimes when you're in trouble, you fall, hurt yourself and you're crying. And when you're little, and then your friend or brother or mother or whoever comes and says, no, it's all right, don't cry, it's going to be okay. So in the same way, Krishna is consoling Arjuna in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. So he talks about the soul. And he talks, I forgot how many verses exactly, but he explains the first thing, Atma Tattva, we're not the body, we are the soul. So, let's see if we can do this. It's going to take a few minutes. Okay, from 2:11 to 2:30. Anyone interested in reading? Anybody? You can? Okay, it's from text 11 to 30. This is just the translation, so it's easy. You don't have to be turning pages. And let's see what Krishna says. But you have to make it dramatic, like, deep voice, like David Attenborough, one of those.
Okay, 2:11 to 2:30.
Correct. Thank you.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. O best among men, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, and is steady in both, is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the eternal there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain, therefore ye need not grieve for any living being.
Jai. So those are Krishna's words. And out of that set of verses, there is one particular verse that Krishna says, Nyeka, take this. One of you two want to read something? It's just one paragraph. You can? Okay. 213, the first paragraph. So, out of all these set of verses that we have read, the most quoted verse that Srila Prabhupada comments in his writings, in his classes, in his conversation is 213. In Sanskrit, it's very famous. Tu dehinos min jata dehe kaumaram jaubanam jara tata deha antara praptir diras tatra na mujati, which means that someone who is really knowledgeable should not lament. We change bodies just like we change clothes. We forgot how many times we have changed bodies, even in this lifetime, from boyhood to youth to old age, etc. And at the time of dying, we just changing clothes, changing bodies, but we are not dying. Prabhupada emphasized that again and again. And one time he was giving a class and he was making this point. And he noticed one devotee stood up and walked out. He noticed it. One of his assistants. So when he went to the room, the devotee came to do his service. He was really fired up. You know? And then, why did you leave the class? When Prabhupada got upset, you better be careful. He was going to give it to you. No, Prabhupada, I heard the point that you were making. I have heard it many, many times. One of the traveling secretaries, I think it was. And he says, you may have heard it 1,000 times, but the problem is that you don't understand it. I always remember that. We say, we're not the body, we're not the body. Every time I go I'm such a chicken. Every time I go to the dentist, my God, I am so the body, Do you want another injection? Yeah, go for it, Because we may not be the body theoretically, in real terms, but we are so conditioned by the body. Every pore of your skin can give you pleasure, but can give you easily pain. So that is a big lesson. So Prabhupada comments on that. We're just going to read the first paragraph. You can read the translation.
The translation and the purport.
And the purport, just
yeah.
The first one. It's the first paragraph.
So, chapter 2, text 13. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes to another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Purport. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates into another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there is no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, either from Brisham nor for Dorana, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, therefore rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of the body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in life. So Bhishma and Duryodhana, thank you, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least live in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So in either case, there was no cause for lamentation.
Is that the first paragraph?
That's the first paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the standard state of life is that we, sooner or later, will lament. Sooner or later. Doesn't matter how tough one is, sooner or later we will lament. Most probably, the large majority. So, the Bhagavad Gita presents us with a wonderful formula, magical proposal. The formula to not lament ever again. That's the basic, but we know we're going to cry, we know we're going to hurt, whether for ourselves or for somebody else. That's there. We don't have to be mind readers or fortune tellers to know that, or psychics. That's going to happen. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the way by which we can avoid that. That's one. Freedom from suffering, but freedom to. The first section of the Gita, how many verses? Mata is not here, so how many verses? 700. 700 verses. The first, how many chapters? 18 chapters. The first 6 chapters focus on that. What is the identity of the soul? What is the duty of the soul? Chapter 3. What is the learning of the soul? Chapter 4. What is the experience of the soul? Chapter 5. And what is the process of thinking for the embodied soul? That's the focus. You, the living entity, the soul. Right? So, Krishna will explain how we overcome this body, this covering, whether gross or subtle, in terms of mind and intelligence. And in the middle section of the Gita, chapters 7 to 12, he will explain how we connect to the higher source, to the supreme, to the absolute. So that is the content of the Gita, as we have several times. And the last section of the Gita, who remembers what is it for? Maybe you remember, hopefully. 1 week ago. Who remembers? The last section. Where are we going? The last section is called the section of freedom or liberation. Right? So why is it? Okay, so I know I'm the soul. I know that I'm part and parcel of the Supreme, the Absolute Truth. So why the third section? The third section explains in a very practical way how we can apply what we learn in the first section, the first 6 chapters, and the middle section, how we can put it together. And the word for that, as you know, it's yoga. Yoga means union, connection, or reconnection. So, in the last section, it explains how these two entities, the soul and the super soul, can be connected. But now there is a particular trick. And the trick, or the tricky situation, is that we are in this material world. And in this material world, we get attracted, or rather distracted, from the spiritual path, and we get attracted by matter. We see something, and just like one of those cheetahs or one of those predators, just run, and immediately, as soon as even you don't even have to see something, I can, suggest some exercises right now, and I say, I don't know, the word, for example, China, and I'm sure that your minds will go to images of what you know of China, whether you have been there or seen something or some movie or some whatever. Your mind immediately goes there, or say some other words, ocean, and then you immediately will, so the mind will take even faster than your senses. And you will be attracted to this. Oh, I like the ocean, so, like that. Or I like pizza, or I like that. So the senses will drag us to, or distract us from internal seeking. Soul and super soul. Who am I? Because the pleasure that we obtain externally, it's limited. Doesn't matter how much you enjoy, it's going to last for some time. Even if you have a super good karma and you have enjoyed since you were born and your parents were great and everything went super nice, you never had major accidents or what called critical incidents, everything is going great. At some point the body's going to die. Is that right? Huh? Like you read, no? Whoever takes birth has to die, and whoever dies has to take birth. So that's the process of reincarnation, samsara it's called. Right? So even in the best situations, it's gonna end. So Krishna is presenting a different alternative, a different truth, different perspective, paradigm. That there is a realm that it's more befitting to the soul, because the pleasure that we all are seeking in the material context, it actually can be fulfilled eternally without cessation. That's why we don't like to die, or we don't even like to get sick or get old, because that it's a manifestation of the temporarity of the world. And we're thinking, oh, now I am this, all I was talking to a friend of mine, and his father was passing away. He passed away actually on Saturday morning, and Friday night we had a good long talk, devotee, and he was saying, I seen this person, and this person's body, it's there, and everything is so real, but actually he's leaving, he's going. And I'm seeing it with my own, he's my father, and I am attached, and I love him, the whole thing, but nothing I can do. It doesn't matter how much we hold him, all the brothers and sisters and everyone there, we cannot stop him. So this is the sentence that we have in this material world. So the Bhagavad Gita is not something that we need to see it as a pessimistic or negative or depressing thing, but rather is something that it's opening the doors for a place of freedom. Freedom from suffering and freedom to obtain that eternal place, spiritual consciousness. Okay? Thank you so much. So we have covered just some basic points, but as you can see, Bhagavad Gita is so wonderful. We can, spend, hours and hours describing the things that Srila Prabhupada has presented for us. So this is the first lesson of the Gita, Atma Tattva, who we are. Basically in chapter 2. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Pramanandi Hari Bol. Right on time, 6 o'clock. Thank you.